of such similar characters.
Yes.
And to add on to that, the university itself says this guy never went through the medical school.
Yes.
Apparently his name surfaced in the internship list. How is all this happening?
I think it's not enough to just blacklist. I think they need to report them to the police so that they work with security agencies to get these fellows arrested. And this should not just be limited to young fellows like this who are trying to find their way around through fraudulent means. But even in leadership, with the leadership and integrity law in place now, we also do have leaders who have faked papers to get positions of leadership. This is something that should be widespread in terms of casting the net wide to read even the leadership of the country, whether at county or national level, of quack leaders.
Whose responsibility is it, Waziri?
Well, I think it takes everyone to really get these fellows.
Because you see, we were seeing on TV yesterday some residents of Nandi, some place, were saying they're so shocked this guy never went to school.
Yes.
And yet they entrusted him with their lives.
But there would be people who actually knew this fellow was never in any university.
Maybe the immediate
There are
family.
even people, colleagues who are with colleagues in parliament, who know something about their colleagues not having proper papers.
But it's
We even had governors' credentials being questioned. So it really must involve everybody. Like Chinua Achebe said, it takes a village to raise a child.
Precisely.
I think it would take the entire village, the entire country, to rid the country of quacks such as Meli.
In short, we need to go back to the times where the neighbor was your father, the neighbor was your mother, and everybody was everybody as a housekeeper.
Very important.
Nice story. The story goes on into page 2 and 3 of the dailies. Page 4, we have something that the Standard premiered with. That's the auditor's report. Now it says a lot of money is lost through the IFMIS system.
Yes.
You head a ministry, although you're not the accounting officer, but I'm sure to some extent you have direct responsibility. Your take?
Well, I haven't had any challenges in my ministry, but I think where challenges have emerged, proper investigation need to be done to look at the integrity of the system. And when we are dealing with technology, even in the most advanced countries, technology fails. You remember what happened in Florida?
Yeah.
When we had the Al Gore and George Bush election.
You remember what happened in Kenya in 2013?
Yes, yes. So I think it is something that needs to be looked at very seriously. And
in your opinion, is the IFMIS program or system vulnerable?
It is working, but of course, like any system, any technology, it's likely to face challenges. So I think it needs to be looked at.
Quite a categorical call by governors on the same story, and they're saying that the national government has left a lot of leeway or room for cartels to misuse this system.
I think it's not really about a blame game between the counties and the national government. It's really a question of technology, and if we need to improve on it, or if we need to find a better technology, that is something that the experts should be dealing with, and maybe it should not be politicized, or also it should not be used as an excuse for failure to account to the people, whether in the county or in the ministries or nationally.
Trending story about a member of parliament for Laikipia North, Matthew Lempurket. He spent the night in the police cells yesterday. The altercation between him and a fellow member of parliament, nominated member of parliament. Your take on this?
I think the culture of violence is abhorrent. It's totally unacceptable.
More so coming ahead of an election?
Society. And also coming from leaders. And we've seen leaders behave violently. It's not the first time we've seen members of parliament or leaders in key positions being violent, and we expect, and I want to congratulate the police for taking immediate action, arresting the MP and investigating, especially when this happens in the ministry that is
the confines of security.
The security ministry. It is really something that should not be tolerated at all, and we expect that justice will be done. And but we also expect leaders to be held to a higher standard. We remember the case of Rachel Shebesh and the famous slap. We remember the violence that has been there in parliament, parliamentarians getting very physical. And we expect that where parliamentarians are involved, the speaker as the head of the institution should also take firm action through the relevant committees.
There are voices that say this is a sorry about that. There are voices that say this is a reflection of the wider society, the intolerance in the society, intolerance towards people in authority, intolerance towards one another, more especially as we head towards an election.
Yes, and we need as leaders to be the yardstick. We really need to set standards if we are to avoid pre-election or post-election violence. And we are already seeing signs of violence in different parts of the country. We saw some violence in Nyanza recently. We've seen violence in other parts. As leaders, we must say not violence, and this starts from us. Thank you.
A quick one on the incident that happened in Nakuru. Yes. Page 7 of the Daily Nation, assault as a convict stabs a magistrate in court. You are a learned friend, as they say.
Yes.
What do you say about this?
Yeah, I think this is very unfortunate, but it is also a reminder of some of the concerns that have been raised by our judicial officers about the risk and being exposed to such risks. I think we need to tighten security, and also I believe in terms of a fellow getting to court with a weapon, that is unacceptable.
Apparently it now emerges that people who are out on bond, whenever they go back to court to make appearances, they are never frisked.
I think that needs to be done. We need to upscale. Well, I believe it's part of the administrative measures that the new Chief Justice will be putting in place, and this is a very chilling signal that something needs to be done to ensure the security of our judicial officers.
Finally, Waziri, something related to your ministry in the Daily Nation. On page 8, the Nairobi County government plans to upgrade a number of housing units, about 100,000. We have Old Ngara, New Ngara, Pangani, Jivanji, Bachelor's Quarters, Ngong Road, and stuff. How does this sit with the availability of facilities, water services, sewage services?
I think
we have the capacity.
It is a great idea, and I think it's an idea whose time has come. We, as national government, through the Ministry of Housing and Urban Planning, have been looking at this. And with the growing population, particularly in a city like Nairobi, on an ordinary day we have about 6 million Kenyans here. But at night we have about 4 million, the population. But we are projecting that in another, by 2020, 2030, the population will double, will be over 10 million Kenyans living in Nairobi. So housing is a challenge, and that must be developed. When you look at the old estates, when you go to Jericho, you go to Makadara, Maringo, you find these old council houses with only one family. Yet if you are to take, say, about 10 of them, and put up a bigger structure. Actually, the whole estate could be housed in one high-rise building. The idea we saw in Nyayo high-rise, the idea we are seeing in Kibera, Nyayo Mbakasi, if we can replicate this in the Eastlands part of Nairobi, first we must ensure that the families that have been there, because we know that there are families that have lived in Nairobi for many years, are given the first priority. In fact, my idea would be that they should be given replacement houses. They should not be made to pay, as I've seen the suggestion here, because if they can take, say, 2 floors, then the rest are now open for the public. I think it is something that can improve the lives of people in Nairobi, can get more people getting into Nairobi. And as this happens, as the Ministry for Water, we want to assure Nairobians that we already have a master plan to bring in more water into Nairobi. Recently you heard about the famous Northern Collector Tunnel. This is in Murang'a County, and Ndakaini Dam is really the main source of our water in Nairobi. Almost 80% of
which is insufficient, actually.
Yes, it's insufficient, because when you go around the estates, whether it's in Ruai or you go to Kibera, you'll find that there are people who get water once a week. There are those who never get water, so they have to rely on those jerrycans. And in informal settlements, people are paying more for water. A 20-liter jerrycan for 20 shillings is really expensive. It means someone living in Karen, in Muthaiga, is paying much less for a liter of water than someone living in the formal sector. So what we're saying is that we are developing this collector tunnel. As we have rains now, they have floods. So instead of this runoff water going to the Indian Ocean, the ocean does not need the water. The people need the water. We will be getting this water into this tunnel and adding the water into Ndakaini. With that, we'll be bringing to Nairobi an additional 140 million liters of water daily. It's part of a master plan that was launched by none other than the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga and Honorable Charity Ngilu, and she was the Minister for Water and Irrigation. And it's part of our Vision 2030 to make Nairobi water secure. So what I would urge is that for major water projects such as this, we are urging politicians not to politicize them. Because as we are building these houses, we must develop the water infrastructure, the sewerage, to get millions more of Kenyans coming into Nairobi. So this is where we are, and we are focusing, and we are already undertaking this project.
We'll be talking more about that, Waziri, as we talk about the Water Week. But still on the issue of upgrading the houses in Nairobi, I want to believe that you're still aspiring to be Nairobi governor. You have not mentioned it in this show. Tell me, how does this sit with your reign as governor, considering the fact that we are in an expansion era? I think Nairobi needs more offices in the central business district. Ngara, bachelor's quarters, Pangani, all these fall within and around the central business district. I
think for now, the governor of Nairobi is Dr. Evans Kidero. He's my good friend, and we were together hosting the Deputy Prime Minister of Belgium at the King Day celebration the other day. And we wish him well, because he has the mandate of the people of Nairobi to serve until 2017. For now, I'm focusing on giving Kenyans water, and politics is not really my cup of tea now. But as the book of Ecclesiastes says, there's a time and place for everything. When the time for politics comes in 2017, we talk politics. But for now, I can assure Nairobians that we have a master plan for the greater Nairobi metropolis to ensure we have enough water. And this we are going to develop. Apart from the water that we're bringing in, we are also developing a distribution infrastructure, because 140 million liters of water is a lot of water. So we are, and we have already set aside 3.8 billion. We will be doing a pipeline right from Kiambu to Embakasi to Utawala, Mihango, that area. We will also be doing another pipeline to Gigiri, all the way to Karen to serve the Langata and the Kibera people. We are talking of 3.8 billion distribution. So we have a master plan, and we believe that as Nairobi expands, as the population grows, the infrastructure must match it. And
that sounds to me, Waziri, like you're putting your political ambitions on the back seat. But that's a talk for another day. Let's look at the standard. Like we said earlier, the main story there is the issue of graft. Governors are now blaming the national government over what they say is the vulnerability of the IFMI system. You've talked about that. Kenya's politics and regionalism. Meru leaders split over Kiraitu delegation to Ruto's home. These delegations, how or when will we see an end to them? Are they really necessary?
I think there's nothing wrong with leaders consulting, and this will be a very normal thing.
As regional blocks?
No, as we approach the election, there will be alignments and realignments. Of course, we have the county politics, so there will be county meetings. There will also be regional meetings as people position themselves when they, towards the next general election. That is expected. But for corruption, I think we want to request leaders that I think this issue of engaging in a blame game should not really arise. We should all appreciate that one of the major challenges we face as a country is really the corruption issue, and we must come up with a strategy to deal with it without necessarily blaming this or that agency or institution. But also, we must not have...
You're an advisor to the president as far as water issues are concerned. What's your advice on how to tackle corruption?
I think corruption, what we're saying is, first, let us not have double standards. Let us not say, now the national government is failing here, and when county governments also fail, because probably they are aligned to our party, we apply different set of rules or arguments, or we are protective about it. Let us not have double standards in the war against corruption. Let us strengthen the institutions that are fighting corruption, because as we speak, during the reforms that we brought, we were targeting the presidency, what we call the imperial presidency, and stripping it of all powers. and transferring these powers to independent institutions, the anti-corruption, we have the IEBC, the judiciary, they are independent. So we must look at, after 5 years of implementation, where did we go wrong? How can we strengthen these institutions? That is where the focus should be, and not engaging in a blame. A
quick one before we take a break, Waziri. Page 6, I believe you are Catholic faithful.
Yes.
The Pope is announced to have given priests the powers to forgive sin of abortion. Your take?
I think that is something new, because abortion is one thing that has never been tolerated by the church, as well as homosexuality. But times change, and we remain guided by our spiritual father.
Okay, thank you very much. We will take a short break and come back after a short while when we'll skim through the papers just a little bit before we delve into the issue of the Water Week in Nairobi.
Thank you.